back and relax. You're listening to episode 244 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis about the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. My guest for this episode was Shannon Larson, SVP Platform Management at Osaic. Now, Shannon is an industry veteran. She's been at Osaic, formerly Advisor Group, for 7 years now. And before that, she was at Eaton Vance, Cetera, and made stops at LPL Financial and Fisher Investments. So she has been around and seen a lot. And we spoke about a wide range of topics. And I have to say, Shannon was very open and gave us a lot of great information about Osaic's wealth tech setup, some of their how they've got things configured over there, some of the challenges they've overcome since. We all know Osaic has done a lot of acquisitions over the years. I was interested to know how it affected technology, what kind of integrations they have to deal with, how they overcome some of the challenges of integrating different technologies from the broker-dealers they have acquired. Again, Shannon gave us a lot of great anecdotes, information about that, things she had seen. Super helpful. We also talked about recent updates to their equipped account opening system, which I've written about on our blog. And finally, one of my favorite topics, unified managed accounts and how that's faring at Osaic. All right. But before we get started, and next up on the program, I'm happy to introduce Shannon Larson, Senior Vice President, Platform Management and Product Development at Osaic. Shannon, so glad to see you here.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you can make it. We ran into each other at the InvestNet conference in Phoenix a couple weeks back. It was good to see you in person.
It was good. It was already pretty warm there, although it just keeps getting warmer. I heard it was like 110 this week. I can't believe it.
I've been there in June before, and it's no fun. So I'm glad at least they did it early in May, so it wasn't too oppressive.
That is true. I used to live in Phoenix, so now Southern California is not too bad.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, Southern
Yes.
California is nice. I'm in New Jersey, so I can definitely appreciate the weather of Southern California compared to here.
Yes. I'll be there next week though. So
Excellent. Well, I'll come to see you. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Could you, for anyone who's living under a rock, give a 30-second elevator pitch for Osaic?
absolutely. So I think for a lot of people, our name obviously is something new that has been all over the press with our new brand that we launched just over a year and a half ago, I think, with Osaic. We are about 11, we are part of 11,000 financial advisors have chosen Osaic as their firm of choice to do their business through. We really come from a legacy of many, many different firms, and why we picked Osaic is really focused on kind of a play on the word mosaic. So bringing together the collection of the legacy of all these different firms together, with it being ours, so hence the Osaic. So that's something that really means a lot to us and is part of our kind of history, but also moving forward. We service financial advisors across the U.S. and we've done a few acquisitions that I think some people have heard about. We've just continued to go. I've been with the firm now for about 7 years. We are in the midst of what we call our journey to one. So we are focused on moving from a broker-dealer individual firm-centric experience to really one large wealth management firm focused on serving advisors in different channels or communities. So we are part of, we have an independent channel, we have an RIA channel, and we have an institutions channel. And then we have the various advisor communities that are all part of that.
That was a great elevator pitch. Yeah, so we've been following closely the acquisitions of Osaic, and that's something you work on a lot in your role on the advisory product platform. So maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've overcome during integrations of these acquired broker-dealers. So what are some of the things you had to work on? Because they've all got their own platforms, and you're moving them over to the Osaic platform, which runs on InvestNet. This is the core of that. So what are some of the challenges you overcame during integrations of these very large broker-dealers, including Lincoln Financial?
Yeah, so it's definitely been it's been a process. As I shared, I've been here about 7 years, and We had some early acquisitions when I first joined the firm, firms like Questar and Signator. So we've had, a legacy and a history of insurance broker dealers coming in and enjoying what was the Advisor Group and now Osaic. One of the things I think, and this was a good lesson learned for us, is always respecting the differences of the firms that we've acquired, but also keeping kind of a focus on how do we bring the scale and the resources of Osaic to those firms sooner than later. So, most recent acquisitions would be Lincoln. We had Infinex and American Portfolios kind of going in order. And then certainly we've had the Ladenburg firms, which was massive and kind of when we doubled in size. What we've done as we've moved towards this journey to one firm is actually working towards alignment of the product shelf and the technology of Envestnet as an example sooner than later. And so when we go through the transition of the firm into Osaic, where it's no longer its own broker dealer, like we're about to do with Securities America this weekend, we've already aligned the product shelf, the policies, the technology as much as we possibly can. The other big opportunity was that we've been able to do all of this via really a negative consent process. So while there's been client mailings, there's not been a repapering type of effort. And so we're now sitting at over 60% of our advisors are part of Osaic. After this weekend, it'll be substantially more with Securities America. And then we have a few more movements or mergers into Osaic this year, and then we'll finish off with the firms that we own next year. So I would say it's careful planning, it's understanding really the advisor change management and experience, delivering even small technology differences matter, and so delivering a lot of deliberate communications and checklists and portals and how to help them kind of navigate that change. In the case of this weekend with Securities America, these advisors will be getting equipped, which is something I know you've covered before and are versed on. So it's exciting because while there's change, there's new features and technology that they'll get as well.
Change is good. It's always change. That's one thing that's constant is that there's
Absolutely.
Maybe since you brought up equipped, we can talk a little bit about that. So maybe people who don't know, well, I'll put a link in the show notes to our coverage of Equipped, but just quickly, what is Equipped and what are some of the new integrations or connections or features functionality you've been adding to Equipped?
Absolutely. So Equipped is how we think about our digital experience with our advisors and their clients. And so Equipped has different components of it. So we have Equipped, which features really a digital integrated account opening experience, which is probably what you're familiar with, Craig, which is bringing together all of the paperwork and experience of multiple clearing firms. So we are Pershing and NFS. We have relationships with Schwab and Fidelity on the custody side as well. But the way to think about Equipped new account opening is a seamless integration of everything, whether it's NFS or Pershing, on advisory or brokerage, so including Envestnet or not including Envestnet, and creating really a seamless experience where the advisor is able to start the process and then they're able to digitally pass off the additional creation or completion of information to the client, then back to the advisor, and then the ability to do straight through processing, which includes the custodians as well as Envestnet and some of our additional technologies that we rolled out. So that's one part of Equipped. The next part is really
Before
focused
you move on,
yeah.
we stick with new account openings for a second. Did you find that it was difficult to get the custodians to allow you to do straight through processing without having to go to their website for every account? Because that's what I found with some clients, or most of the clients, they force you can do most of the account opening in your portfolio management platform, but then the very last part, you still have to go to their website to finish it. Did you find that as an issue?
So I would say from what I would say from an experience standpoint is it really was, the Equipped, it's been something that we've been on the journey of for 6 years or more. And I think that it's continued to get better and better over time. We didn't phase out the WealthScape or NetX right away because we recognize that advisors had a lot of familiarity and comfort with that. But over time, working with the custodians, we were able to take on a greater level of ownership all the way through. So everything from, setting up new accounts to updating preferences for e-delivery to, other ongoing tasks of the account. We are now centrally using Equipped, or in some cases, we still use Envestnet. as a direct connection for the ongoing wealth management and investment management. But I could see the hesitation, I think, as time has gone on, with the ability with APIs and other types of technology that we've been able to more seamlessly integrate it.
Yeah, I find that custodians are sort of hold on to that last mile, that they
Right.
want to still own that. And it's difficult to wrest that away from them. Now, Osaic is large enough that you can sort of say, hey, we want this, and they'll do it for you. But a lot of other broker dealers and RIAs still, their account opening still has to go to Wealthscape or NetX for that last mile.
Right. Yeah. In our scenario, we are you're really part of equipped through the end, and then it becomes ongoing management and working within InvestNet. We white label our InvestNet solution that we built in partnership with them. It's called the Wealth Management Platform.
Mhm.
So some of the day-to-day activity that the advisor does once the account's opened on the advisory side is leveraging that. But where we can, we've created seamless integrations for ongoing maintenance of information as well. And that's kind of, as we think about the next phase of Equipped, it's what we call as One Hub. So One Hub is really meant to be the advisor's destination to look at their book of business, to really do anything from looking at their business to managing their business to benchmarking their business, to really getting to a lot of the resources and information that Osaic keeps on behalf of our clearing firms, but also all of the great, practice management and other types of resources we have. So One Hub is really that like one-stop advisor shop destination to manage their business. And then we also have some financial planning that I can talk about, that's tools integrated within the account opening, and then the client portal, of course, which is a key part.
Hold on one second on that. I want to talk about that. I want to just jump back to Equipped. So I stopped you before you went on to the other features of Equipped that outside of account opening. Do you want to kind of run through those really quick?
Sure, sure. So one other feature that we think about really what is it that we want to help our advisors grow and deliver. And all the industry statistics, Cerulli and everyone else, shows that what clients actually want from their advisors is not necessarily what they're receiving, right? So clients want a relationship that's centered around financial planning, holistic wealth management. It's more than investment advice. As we know, investment advice is a key part of it, but it's almost table stakes. And so it's all the other things that clients are looking for. So what we've focused on is how do we help advisors deliver that? And one area that we've seen a lot of growth in is advisors that want to charge for financial planning. It could be that they're serving a comprehensive financial planning client. It could be that they're serving maybe more of a next generation client that really is interested in more of a pay for certain services, not necessarily subscription. I don't know that that's the best word to use, but more of a ongoing advice and service for more of a nominal fee as they start to grow their assets and kind of amass wealth. So we built something that's part of Equipped, which is Equipped for financial planning, and that enables our advisors to go in and with really 7 simple questions, establish a financial planning or consulting client, and then be able to e-signature with the client for the paperwork, and also set up payments electronically. We did choose to build that ourselves, and we partner with Stripe on the back end for the payment processing.
That's super interesting. So that was something we've seen a lot. Well, at Ezra Group, we do some broker dealer platform evaluations, and we have seen a lot of broker dealers not have financial planning integration in their client portal. So you guys have launched that, which is, I think, pretty significant development.
I think for our clients, it's important too, because a lot of advisors are doing the planning, but they just include it in the fee, but they're not really explicit about the value of that service. So even if the advisor doesn't charge the client for it, I think the fact that they're committed to it and talking about it and doing it. But we are seeing advisors that charge for planning are growing significantly faster than those that don't charge for it. So there really is a benefit in establishing that. Some of the new features, which are really important and we hear often, is that more of a fee for service of clients that maybe aren't ready for an investment account. So we're restructuring our financial planning agreements, which will all be through that tool, to focus on more consulting services for clients, full-blown financial planning, and then high net worth consulting and financial planning as well. So doing more of a client segment-based strategy to align the agreements with what the advisor is looking to deliver.
That's excellent. All right, now let's jump back to One Hub, Advisor Dashboard, which you had mentioned. You talk about advisors can now benchmark their business against other Osaic advisors. What's the underlying technology behind OneHub? How are you gathering that data, and what are the tools that are allowing them to do this benchmarking?
So we have something that we've built ourselves, which is called Advisor Business Intelligence, and it's using our shared data across our systems. We do leverage Allbridge, so Allbridge is a big provider for us, and integrated in our systems. But a lot of this data is specific to their advisory business that sits on Envestnet,
Mhm.
their direct mutual fund business. It's really looking at all aspects of their practice, and then it's allowing them to benchmark things like, what are you charging for certain client sizes? What is your net new asset growth look like versus peers? And so it's a technology we've had for a while, but we're really investing in modernization of it as part of its integration in OneHub,
Mhm.
and really help provide a tool that our advisory consultants and our relationship managers can use with advisors to help them set goals and framework for their growth.
Let's take a break from this interview to talk about the Invest in Others charitable foundation. Does your firm give back to the community in a meaningful way? If it does, you should apply to the Invest in Others Charitables Champions List. What is this Charitable Champions List? It recognizes financial advisory firms that give back to their communities by promoting a culture of philanthropy amongst their financial advisors and employees. Now, not only is this a chance to share the impact that your firm has had on the community, but it also recognizes, if it's recognized by the Invest in Others Foundation, it can bring credibility to these philanthropic programs that you're running through peer recognition, improved employee morale, and also it can serve as a talking point with clients and prospective new hires. So if you want to learn more about the Invest in Others Charitable Champions List, go to the website investinothers.org. And remember, the deadline for applying is July 12th. So between now and July 12th, go to investinothers.org and apply for your firm to be recognized as a charitable champion. So with OneHub, I'm interested to know some of the underlying technology you're using for the business benchmarking that advisors can benchmark their business. What's underneath all that you've white labeled to deliver this capability to advisors?
Absolutely. We've white labeled really an overall business analysis, which we called My Business Builder, and we partnered with Actify to build that out, and that's part of kind of our general affiliation. It's a service that we want to provide to our advisors. It helps them not only look at the valuation and business diagnostics and other things like their leverage of financial planning and how that can grow in their practice. So we have built that, and it's a really simple, easy assessment, and we leverage that in our relationship management and business consulting efforts as well.
I like it. I like it. I love these white label tools. I love pulling things together. We love integrations. At Ezra Group, we do a lot of work with broker dealers on integration. So can we talk a little bit more about some of the integration work you've done, specifically around your advisor platform?
Absolutely. So I'd say the one that is worth spending a little bit of time on, which is where we just got to see each other in Phoenix, is definitely Envestnet. We actually have a little phrase that Pete Clemson, our head of digital, coined, which is maybe it's not original, but it's innovation through integration.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
it's
you can
really,
steal that.
they can steal that,
Use
right?
it for your own. Just take it and run with it.
Yeah, and it's the ability, and that's where we think there is a lot of power within Osaic, is that we're not self-clearing, but we're unapologetic about that. We believe that we can partner with industry leading providers like custodians like Pershing and NFS, and we can partner with a wealth management provider like Envestnet, and really focus on building on the integrations, building on the experience and the enhancements of that, while still owning the client experience as well as the advisor experience. And that's an example of what we've done with Equipped. But there's areas where we're not going to build a financial planning tool. We just didn't know that we're not going to do that. And so we partnered with MoneyGuide and eMoney as two industry leading tools. And now we're focused on the integration in our different portals. But going back to Envestnet, some of the things that we've recently integrated that have been very popular with our advisors is the new user experience. So, I think we've all, if you work with Envestnet, we've heard a lot over the years about, the improvements in the technology and making the experience more modern. What they did with the user experience, I think, was really great in that they did it as a toggle. So it wasn't an all or nothing situation. So we could start with the option for our advisors of, do you want to have the new experience? We promoted it. We got the early adopters. We got really good feedback. Then we defaulted to it as the default, but the toggle to go back is still out there. And then in the next month or so, we're going to just move to the new one. But I think that type of approach where advisors get to kind of work at their pace, then it doesn't feel like we're pushing all this change at once. With Envestnet, I think that is a upgrade and it's more of a facelift, I'll call it, but it's not really new functionality. Some of the areas where the functionality is new and better is definitely the proposal. So that's something that we're in the process of integrating into Equipped, which is going to be the new next generation proposal. I think it has a different name now. What's great about that is it takes a lot of the common features within the unified managed account, which is our fastest growing platform, and integrates it right in the proposal workflow. So you can set up things like DCA and other types of things without having to do a service request incident. So everything's integrated. So that's been really well received, and we're going to be launching that more broadly with integration into Equipped. And then finally, we're in pilot right now for the new trading capabilities that are coming out. Another area where Envestnet's really kind of doubling down in the dashboards and worksheet level trading and those types of enhancements that we've been asking for quite some time now.
I have some inside information on that. You have been asking for that for quite some time.
Yes,
But you've been Envestnet clients for a very long time. I'm thinking like 15 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a journey. So I think we've seen a lot of different phases and a lot of acquisitions on their end. One thing that I think does make it really interesting for us when I think about us picking the right technology and who we work with, as you think about all the firms that Osaic has integrated in, there are a couple scenarios where those clients were not on Envestnet, but in many of those situations they were. And so in many ways, I think we were able to deliver on the integrations quicker because of that common framework. And then we're in the process with Lincoln. It's really just getting to know the two different ways that it's approached. And so far, knock on wood, we're seeing a lot of benefits of the way we've built certain things and finding ways to scale those benefits with the firms that we acquire.
You mentioned worksheet trading capability coming out and you're piloting that. Why is that important?
I think it's how advisors think about how they process and run their business, which is to make them what I think has been a common frustration with the Envestnet system is just not keeping up with the experience online that we all expect, right? So it's commonly in our industry, we're so heavily regulated and things are so complicated with the integrations with the custodians and everything else. I think it's the ability for the advisor to kind of meet them where they are. And if they're used to processing in a worksheet type situation, don't make them submit something and then go back and resubmit it. What's great about the new trading tools is there's a lot of, you can kind of easily adjust and not have to go back 2 steps. And so you're constantly kind of iterating through the tool versus feeling like I did it, I hit save, now the little dial's going and I'm going to be waiting for a few minutes. It's more real time kind of, I think, satisfaction for advisors of correcting or adjusting where they want to change orders.
Indeed. And you have a large percentage of your advisors are what we would call Repus PM or Advisor PM, where they're actually going in and making the decisions in their accounts for what investments, what models they're putting for their clients.
Absolutely. And our biggest focus to help those advisors is it's about 70% of assets, but now about 45% of our new accounts are going into the UMA. So a big change in terms of behavior. But for those advisors that are doing the Repus PM or Rep Managed, it's really helping them create scale and not manage every client as a snowflake portfolio and really setting up models and trading to those models. One of the big benefits of many of the big benefits from the Ladenburg acquisition into Osaic was Ladenburg Asset Management. So our home office research team, we call it Osaic Research when they're delivering all the the research and the guidance and the mutual fund lists and all those types of stuff. We have that all built into InvestNet as well, so they can use those tools in advisor managed portfolios. But we also have them as a strategist. So once advisors are comfortable with them and what they're doing, they can buy them as a strategist within our UMA as well.
So they become like an SMA provider managing a sleeve in the
Exactly.
rather than going to an external money manager, third party manager. You're keeping it all in house.
And we keep it in house. We don't charge a strategist fee on it, and so it's a great offer. It's a great option for them to really kind of have an extension of their team and use all the resources and the research reports, client approved materials that Phil Blancato and the Ladenburg team offer.
And that can be significant. Some strategists, equity strategists, it's not unusual to charge 35, 40 basis points manager fee.
Right. Exactly. And they become, the greatest, I think the advisors, and they are fastest growing strategists. So from a strategist perspective on our platform, they are, Phil, or the head of asset management there. Our advisors love him, download his podcast every week. Really, really dynamic and a really just great person. And so everyone feels like they're part of Phil's family, and he truly means it. So if you haven't heard his podcast, I'd strongly recommend it.
It's Phil's Family, folks. Is that the name of the podcast? Phil's Family?
Phil's Family. I think
a great name.
That would be a good one. I should know. I think it's Phil Blancato, but you can find it.
Of course. And that SMA strategist from Osaic Research is then fed into InvestNet, just like a regular manager would be, and comes in through the platform.
Exactly. Yep. And advisors can either use it as a starting point and then trade themselves using it, or they can purchase it as on the InvestNet terminology, be the fund strategist platform. So it's mutual fund and ETF wrap solutions that are available. And in that case, then the advisor, what we did from a technology standpoint, I'll mention this because I think it's one of the big reasons why we've seen our UMA grow. We set it up as a program where you have essentially 3 programs in one. So you have the power of the unified managed account. So you can do everything in one account, whether it's advisor managed portfolios, SMAs, FSPs, all in one account. But we've also made it so that the standalone SMA program or the standalone FSP program is part of that same thing. So you could have a situation where you've managed these clients' assets for 5 years. The UMA wasn't really a viable option back then, but now our advisors can actually move into the UMA from the fund strategist without repapering. So we've created kind of this master services agreement with those programs. And we tell advisors that, whether you have a small client, we start at $5,500 as the minimum. You have a small client starting at a low minimum, then you grow into more of a high net worth strategy. You can now do that all within the UMA and not have to worry about repapering.
So let me restate what you just said. So we've been talking about this for many, many years, where our work with other vendors and other broker dealers, where you're launching a UMA and you consolidate all of your programs into the UMA, and you can start them small with a single sleeve. So you say a single sleeve, and you mentioned FSP. For those of you who are not InvestNet clients, FSP is Fund Strategist Portfolio. That's an ETF strategy, but in effect, so for a small client, everyone gets a UMA. But for small clients, they get a single sleeve. It looks like it's just a basket of ETFs. Then if they grow and get larger, you can then add more sleeves because it's still a UMA, and you can put SMAs in, you can put an advisor managed sleeve, and then they become a full-blown UMA without having to repay because it's still the same account.
Exactly. Yep. So the account with the client, as the client grows, the advisor can add features in and manage it in the overlay portfolio manager on it is InvestNet. We use them. So they're getting the power of the technology and the power of the rebalancing and all those types of things. One of the new things that we're super excited about with the UMA that's coming out is more advisor discretion related to cash management. So this is brand new. InvestNet launched it in May, and we've been testing it internally as we do with everything before we launch it to our advisors. So it's coming in a month or two, but it's going to be in a month. It's really addressing a lot of the feedback we've heard from advisors, which is, I want model management, but I want to be able to have more discretion when it comes to where money comes in and out of, and having the ability to do that. So that's something that we're excited for.
So that would be where the advisors can decide how cash is allocated across sleeves, incoming cash.
Incoming cash and outgoing cash.
Okay.
And if that means the sleeve's going to have a very larger variance to the model, then they can manage through that. But that's right.
Right. So they can decide they want to have more dispersion because of
Right.
other issues that they feel are better for the client.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think it's the roadmap where investments going, and we're very aligned with, is that um, the more pieces of discretion that you can give the advisor, I think the more that they feel comfortable using the unified managed account. That's really what the AMP sleeve has done and where we've seen the growth of it. We will continue to kind of partner with Envestnet around that. Eventually, I know they want to get to fixed income trading within the UMA, direct trading in the UMA, but I think they were really smart to start with these incremental wins to give advisors more control versus just going all the way to the end, which is, I think, where they kind of initially started, and then they went back and they said, let's start to give those levers of control.
Oh yeah, and as at Ezra Group, we've done a lot of UMA development, deployment, working both with the vendors on their UMA platforms and broker dealers building out UMA programs, deploying them. And I can say, advisor discretion for cash management is a big deal. It sounds simple, but when you're in a
Yeah,
UMA, normally it's like we're going to allocate pro rata across all the sleeves. That's it.
right.
And to say, well, no, we're going to allow it to be changed. That's a big deal for advisors, and it's something that some vendors don't have that capability to do that. If they do, it's very difficult to use, or you've got to set it up, at the home office. Still, I can decide, I can change the allocation across the sleeves, but it's fixed. I can't.
Yep.
The advisors can't just do that on the fly. So, I think that's a pretty big feature.
There's one more feature that I think we'll geek out on this one together, which I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
you or
let's geek.
you're
You and me
definitely.
geeking here.
Yeah, let's geek out on it together. So I think you're consulting your clients on this as well. But one that's been a game changer for us is also the tax management into the UMA. So the ability to help tax transitions from, whether it's advisor managed portfolios where they're doing it themselves into a UMA, where there's that question of what level of dispersion do I want to have from the model? What am I comfortable with? And then, what level of tax transition. The ability for advisors to do that and help them more thoughtfully transition to a model portfolio has really been a game changer for us. We have a lot of advisors that were doing advisor managed portfolios that wanted out of that business. They really wanted to focus on more time in front of the clients. And this thoughtful transition service, again, starting for us at like 5,500 minimum for, there's a cost to it, but it's certainly a manageable cost, knowing that's not forever. It's as they transition the portfolio. So it's been a big deal.
I always like to toot my own horn that one of my first projects from Ezra Group, when I started Ezra Group in 2005, and one of our first projects was building tax management into a UMA, where you could sell down holdings over a number of years to reduce the tax burden. And it took that was 19 years ago. So it's
Wow.
just becoming more of a mainstream capability now. So it was a bit of ahead of the curve, but I'm glad to see that's becoming more available for UMAs for large companies like Osaic, and because now it's able to be delivered to, hundreds of thousands of customers, all over the country, and advisors as well. So we are just about out of time, man. Shannon, this really flew by. Can you please tell everyone where they can find out more information about Osaic?
Absolutely. So I would say Osaic.com is a great resource. We are super active in LinkedIn. So if you don't follow us, please join us on LinkedIn, Facebook as well. And I think we have an Instagram, which I didn't know. I just started following that.
I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, it's
Osaic Instagram.
pretty fun. Yeah, we do. It's the social media stuff is fun. What I love seeing is our advisors are really active too. So we've got a couple different Facebook groups that are very active and great formats for us to get feedback. But yeah, check us out on LinkedIn. That would be my takeaway.
And Shannon, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And thank you for, Craig, really making our industry better. It's through you, your expertise, and the conversations like this that I think we all grow. So thank you.
And thank you for those kind words. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my 3 takeaways from this episode. Now, Osaic has been really acquisitive over the years. And as Shannon mentioned, they have acquired broker-dealers, including Questar, Signator, Lincoln Financial, Infinex, Ladenburg. And there was a lot of technology and other issues around alignment of the product shelf, the policies, and that they had really overcome a lot of those issues to get into their, what they're calling their one vision for Osaic, the power of one, where everyone is all under the Osaic brand. So a lot of work on the back end there. The Equipped Account Opening System, Equipped, EQUIPT, I've written about on the blog. You can check that out. Just search for Equipped on WealthTechToday.com. So they talked about why they didn't phase out NetX and WealthScape right away. How, when they had those two custodians at Osaic, and how the wealth management platform is really just white labeled ENV, and about their client segmentation based strategy. We talked a bit about OneHub. Talks about some new features and functionality they're adding, they're taking advantage of InvestNet's new user experience and proposal. And finally, UMA, they've got advisor managed portfolios, advisor managed sleeves in a UMA, which is becoming more and more popular across the industry, especially with the enterprise firms that Ezra Group works with. We do a lot of UMA implementations for clients. So if you've got questions about UMA, please give us a call. And some of the things that were coming, she was talking about tax management in the UMA, their AMP program into a UMA. So all those kind of good UMA related topics. And we were geeking out on UMA, as you heard. All right, you made it to the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. But before you go, head to our website, ezragroup.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.